Hey, hello everybody, and welcome back to the next video in my Who Is series. And as always, you're joining me today to learn more about the theme behind the Spirit of the Day. And in so doing, we'll learn more about each spirit in turn, improve our playstyles and enjoyment of the game, and ultimately help us become better spirits. Well, I hope you're all well, and thank you again for joining me on today's video, where we are going to be talking about, in my opinion, the complete polar opposites of the previous spirit we spoke about, which was Serpent slumbering beneath the island. And today we are talking about his very much younger, adolescent teenager spirit, Heart of the Wildfire.
Heart of the Wildfire! Hey! Yeah! Giggity giggity! Yeah! I got a heart of the Wildfire! Fire! Fire!
That is how I hear him. That is how I see him. Jumping around from place to place, just enjoying and reveling in his fire, and occasionally going, okay, don't tell me off too much, I'll clean up. Bit like a teenager, irresponsible, doing his thing, doing her thing, and just getting into like all sorts of trouble, but eventually just having a nice big smile and trying to clean up as well. That's the way I look at him. Now, who is Heart of the Wildfire? So I thought I'd actually do an interesting comparison to Serpent Slumbering. Try not to take too long on this, but Heart of the Wildfire, if you like a spirit that is fast out of the gate, really fast out of the gate, this is your spirit. He is quick. He does things quickly. He wants to win in the early part of the game, win condition 1 or 2, terror level condition, 1 or 2, and he does stuff right from the get-go. Very fast, very kind of in your face from the beginning, from the get-go. Serpent Slumbering, slow, takes his time, wins in terror level 3 or 4. Okay. Defense, doesn't care. What is defense? He doesn't care about defense. He wants to be there in the action. He wants to do offense. He doesn't care about anything to do about defense. No way.
Defense? What the hell defense?
He's saying.
What the hell defense?
Serpent Slumbering, one of the most defensive spirits in the game, has possibly the most broken defensive card in the game. In terms of offense, yes, this guy is absolutely an offensive-based spirit, but his offense is... It can be very big in a particular land, but on the whole, you tend to be doing fast offense right at the beginning, small amounts of damage, and basically not allowing the invaders to settle up and build up and settle in and all that sort of stuff. You are just blitzing things and getting rid of stuff and keeping it really small and bite chunk size. Serpent Slumbering does damage, but is very happy to do a huge amount of damage to a lot of different invaders all over the place towards the end of the game. This guy, pretty much, just like most teenagers do, sorry, I was once one as well, so I'm allowed to say this, we pretty much think about ourselves, right? We are hungry, we need to eat, we need to go there, we need to do this. This guy doesn't really think about other spirits. In a multiplayer game, he doesn't really give a jot. He has the ability to give you something, and occasionally as a little, on the whim, he might give you it, but most of the time he'll probably take that for himself as well. Serpent Slumbering, 3 of his unique cards when playing in a multiplayer game, he can only play on other spirits. He is a very giving and very gift-giving spirit, very utility-based. And I think that's mostly everything I wanted to speak about. There are 2 other things that I wanted to mention though. He has a very unique way of doing damage, which is very important to consider and very key to his strategy to try to win the game, which is he does damage when he adds presence. This is rare. This is unique. We've certainly seen some Bright Whirlwind when he adds presence can shift explorers. This guy does damage when he adds presence. So bear that in mind as part of his mechanic. Very important. And finally, similar to Serpent Slumbering beneath the island, a lot of his powers, he has to be in the land that he is in. He has to be present in the land that he is affecting. He doesn't have much in the way of ranged powers. We'll speak about 2 of his unique cards that have and allow him to have range, but you'll see they actually come with a huge cost, huge energy cost. So those are the things I wanted to mention. Now onto his spirit panel. Listen to that sound effect. I mean, what else could it be, right? Brilliant, brilliant. Oh, yeah. All right, let's spin it around and let's talk about his lore. A spirit of natural destruction. That's very important. Natural destruction. And renewal after destruction. This happens in life. This happens in our nature. You know, it does happen. Nature will be destructive, but then because of that destruction, it will renew itself. And certainly fires can be, the land itself can regrow after fire. Though those whose lands have been scoured by flame don't usually appreciate the latter. Thrives near human habitations, glorifying in their fires and sparks, but has existed on the island since long before the Dahan arrived, a child of the volcano and the green. That's pretty cool. We didn't know, maybe up until this point, or did we? I don't know. That the spirits maybe could create progeny. Well, here we go. It was pretty cool. The Wildfire is a long-standing friend of the Dahan. The early slash-and-burn agriculture, which turned most spirits against them, gave it the best decades it had in centuries. It later supported the Dahan during the Second Reckoning, backing their threats of reprisal. It doesn't interact with the Dahan often these years, but spares their villages as best it can and fights the invaders in large part for them. Basically, it's kind of cuddly with Dahan. Kind of makes sense. I love the lore aspect, but the thing to take from this, I think, from the theme is it can help the Dahan in a sense. There's a bit of like mutual understanding, and it doesn't try to harm the Dahan. This, I think, thematically makes a lot of sense to me. You start in the highest numbered sands. Perhaps was it a sands? Was it maybe a jungle beforehand, before Wildfire got there, put 3 of his presents on, scoured the land with his fire, and added 2 blight onto him? That's the way I look at it. Complexity, high. Absolutely agree. And actually difficult to play. Really difficult to play. Kind of breaks the game a little bit. Remember, blight is a resource in the game similar to sort of like your health points. And once you run out of your blight and therefore your health points, you lose the game. This spirit utilizes blight and brings it onto the island in a much more frequent way than many other spirits do, and in a way that you might not be comfortable in using. So bear that in mind when you play this spirit. Summary of powers, totally agree. He's basically an offense-based spirit, but don't let this fool you. He's not huge damage. He has the potential of huge damage, but from the very beginning of the game, he is all about damage, and that persists throughout. But I think the way to look at this is almost like chip damage or select damage. He's almost like a scalpel, and sometimes he can do a little bit more damage, but he's very specific about where he's doing the damage. Control, reasonable. He does have some good control. He does have reasonable fear as well. Defense, absolutely none whatsoever. And utility, as we spoke about, he's a selfish spirit. Effectively, do not consider him a utility-based spirit at all. Okay, when you play in the multiplayer, he doesn't care at all. I almost said a naughty word there. About the other spirits, just about himself. Let's spin it around. Let's talk about his growth. Now, I usually start with growth. I'm actually going to start with the presence because it's important to mention this, and then we talk about the growth a little bit here. The presence tracks are very interesting. First of all, you'll see you start on 0 energy. Shadows Flicker Like Flame also starts on 0 energy, and it's considered one of the weaker spirits in the game. 0 energy is quite tough, especially since his next growth option isn't even an increase in energy, it's a fire. He only increases to 3 maximum energy per turn, which is quite low, and considering like other spirits, you know, who can gain a lot more energy, something like Keeper of the Forbidden Wilds, he starts on 3 energy. He pretty much goes from 2 energy to 3 energy in the first turn, almost 3 energy on the first turn. So there's a huge change there. Interestingly, also, his card plays start at 1 and he can max out at 4. Now, he does get to 2 relatively quickly, and then to 3, and then to a fire option. But the thing I wanted to bring into sharp contrast here is these fire options here and this fire option here. You can look at this as almost like a fire wall, like a wall of fire here at this part of the presence track, and a wall of fire here at this part of the presence track. So in order for him to progress at all from 0 energy and 1 card play, he has to get through this fire wall. He has to uncover a fire and go to the next side of it. And in order to go both sides, he has to go through both of those sections of the firewall. Same thing here. If he ever wants to max out his potential for 3 energy and 4 card plays, he has to go through this second firewall. Now this is important. When you uncover these presence discs, you uncover these fire tracks. Let's go right back now to the growth option and start with growth option 3. When he adds presence from an area he already is in, so thematically, he's got fire in a particular place. Fire then can go to a nearby area, and the nearby area can catch fire as well. When he does that, he gains energy, okay? It's like he's gaining fuel, so he's gaining energy to light that fire, to keep that fire going. Also, when he opens up these fire options on his presence track, he gains extra energy for each fire he opens. Okay, this is really, really important for later because there are negatives to having too many fire tracks open. This is almost your benefit. This is almost your sort of like, well, I know you've done a negative, but this is your compensation, maybe. So that's how I look at it thematically. This growth option here, when he chooses to go to a far distant area where he's not nearby, he doesn't have any kind of fire sources. Thematically, this can be represented in nature also as just the start of a spontaneous fire somewhere where seemingly there wasn't any source of fire to begin with. This can happen. When he does that, he's almost like starting a new source of fire. So he gains power when he does that. Okay? But he doesn't gain any energy because he used the energy to transport himself to that distant land. There's no restrictions. No restrictions. You can do any land type, any area. No restrictions of blight. Either 1 range away or 3 range away. That's pretty awesome. And finally, the regrouping option. When he regroups his energy, his power, he gains some power from that because he's getting warm, and he gains a bit of energy because he's ready to go. He's hot and ready to go. Okay, so that's all of this discussed in one go. And I thought that was best to do because then we can also now talk about his special rule, which so far everything seems to be pretty good, right? Well, the beginning part of his special rule is also awesome. After you add or move presence, after setup, so after the initial 3 presence on the highest numbered sands with the 2 blight, after that point, every time you add or move presence, for each fire showing on your fire tracks, you do 1 damage. And you have potentially up to 4 fire that you can reveal. So you could have potentially 4 damage being done just by adding your presence to the island, or moving presence from the island to another area. So far, this guy seems amazing. What's the issue? What are we complaining about? Why is he a difficult spirit? This next section. This is where it all boils down to. If 2 fire or more are showing on your presence tracks, you add a blight. Now, a few other things. You move all the fauna from that land because you're trying to protect the beasties as much as you can. You don't want to burn them. You move all the Dahan because you're friends with them, any number of them, or you can keep them there. And if you add multiple presence into a land at the same time, into the same land, you only do this above effect once, so it doesn't stack. Also, the blight that you add doesn't destroy your presence in that land because it's a power, it's a special rule, or it's a scenario-based power, but it can destroy the presence of other spirits, and if it's like a ravage or an event or something that adds blight, then that will destroy your presence. Now, very, very importantly, remember, when 2 or more fire are showing on your presence tracks, you add this blight. Blight is a hit point. It's a resource, but it's a hit point. You run out of blight, you lose the game. So what does this really translate to? Because you have a firewall here and you have a firewall here, if you choose 1 presence track, let's say just card plays, you start by opening up 1 fire, great, you do 1 damage. You open up another presence track, great, you do 1 damage every time you add presence. This guy seems amazing to kill off explorers. He wants to do damage early. He does it in a really cool way. This is part of the thing he actually is very, very good at, destroying explorers and getting in fast and doing things fast, okay, before the explorers can set up. This is excellent, right? So far, so good. But once you've uncovered this 3rd spot here, your 4th option of adding any more presence, you have to open up another fire. Whether that's this one here or this one here, you have to open up another fire. And that's if you're trying to avoid that. Otherwise, if you want to go split up and down and you want to open up these first 2 tracks, you immediately after the second turn, you are doing 2 damage or more. So the moment you get to 4 presence, you are adding the 4th presence, you will be doing 2 damage, but you will be automatically adding blight into a land you are in. If that land has blight already, you have to cascade. So that's 2 blight. That's just from your presence discs themselves. This can escalate really, really quickly, and something if you don't keep track of, you can easily lose the game. So very, very important. Now moving on to innate powers. Firestorm is a range 0 card, okay? So we spoke about this before. A lot of his power comes from where he is, where he adds his presence, where he actually can do the damage. And now we're finding out that his innate power is in the land he's in. Now in that land, it also has to have blight. You do a damage. Very interestingly, even though he is a fire-based spirit, everything is about fire, he actually requires plant more than anything else. The specific thresholds that give power are 1 plant, 2 plant, and 3 plant. If you can generate 3 plant a turn and some fire, you are in business, okay? 1 plant for every 2 fire you have from your presence tracks, from your energy, from your cards, from whatever other spirits maybe have given you, from what events have given you, you can do 1 damage per 2 fire you have. Once you get to the 3rd threshold, the 2nd threshold, and 3 plant, that translates to 1 damage per fire. So you're basically doubling the amount of damage you can do in a land that you are in that has blight. The third option here is difficult to achieve, but 4 fire and 2 air, you can split this damage amongst any land you're in, and that land has to have a blight as well. So any number of them at all, not just 2, but you can do that in any number of lands that you're in that have blight as well. This is pretty cool. The final option here, I think I've done it once. It's really difficult to do. It can actually lose you the game. It's high risk, but massive reward as well. Basically, in a land that you're in, whether you've got blight, you push all the Dahan out of it. There's no option. You get rid of them, and then you do absolute destruction. You destroy, unfortunately, all the fauna, all the beasties there, but all of the invaders. There's no limit of health or anything like that. There's no amount of damage. You just destroy them all. But you also add a blight. So remember, because you're in a land that has blight, because in order for this to trigger, you're effectively cascading. You're adding not just 1 blight, but you have to add another one. So it's a huge negative, and it may not be worth triggering, but sometimes if you want to and you need to, you can actually have the option of absolutely blitzing a land. Very rarely does the game ever get to this state. Okay. Now finally, the burned land regrows. This is his kind of regrowth bit. This is his kind of I'll tidy up phase. In a land he's in the slow phase, without any restrictions, if the land has 2 or more blight, you remove 1. This is with 4 fire and 1 plant. Once you get to the 2 plant threshold, you actually have none of that restriction of if you have 2 or more blight, you just remove a blight. And then finally, the really difficult one of 5 fire, 2 mountain or 2 earth, and 2 plant, you remove another in the same land you're in. So this is his way of saying, I'll try and keep the land going, I'll try and keep us alive. This is his regrowth. It happens in nature, and this is his way of saying, okay, we can heal the land, but it happens in the slow phase. So if you add too much blight, it doesn't matter if you're about to heal it, you'll lose the game at that point. So this is really tough. Now we'll go to his cards, and the first 2 I'm going to mention are his 0 cost fast cards. His first one, Flame's Fury, this is his selfish one. He can use it on any target. He basically wants to use it on himself. It's a sun, fire, and plant card. So basically all the area ones he needs. Plant is the most important element for him. Strangely, not fire. He basically gains an energy, or the target spirit, whatever you want to say, and they do +1 damage with every damage dealing power they use this turn. So remember, this is power, so not presence, if you add presence somehow later, then it doesn't deal the damage more in that sense, okay? Well, actually, no, and maybe it does because it's a special rule. So maybe it would do, actually. I'll have to look this up. But most importantly, it does 1 damage basically per action, okay? Plus 1 damage more. Really, really helpful. Really helpful. The next one, Threatening Flames, is his way of saying, look, if I can't do the damage I need to, this is my sort of get out of jail card. In a land that he's in, where there are invaders and blight, lots of restrictions, 2 fear. Then, per terror level, so at terror level 1, this is 1. At terror level 2, this is 2. At terror level 3, this is 3. You push that many explorers or towns per that terror level from the target land to an adjacent land that has not got your presence. If you can't satisfy this because every land has your presence, then you actually do 2 more fear. So you're threatening the invaders because there's flames at their doorstep, and then you're moving them to a different land, they're running away, but if in that land you're also there, they're also frightened again. So this is his fear card. It also has a fire and plant, and it's 0 cost. Remember, it's 0 range again. So far, everything is in the land he is in. Now we finally get to the last 2 cards. These are 2 energy. Now remember, for a spirit who does not generate a lot of energy at all, this is very big, okay? But for the 2 energy at slow phase, from a sacred site, lots of restrictions, he can do 1 fear, destroy entirely a town, and he pushes 1 Dahan. Asphyxiating Smoke, very cool card, but very costly. 2 fire, an air, and a plant. Everything he's looking for, okay, except for the mountain. Now the final one is Flash Fires. This is 2 energy, a fire, air, slow phase, again range 1. This is his only range card. So these are the only ones he can use when he is not in the land itself, okay? He only does 1 damage, which is pretty puny, but that's the cost he pays for not being in that land. He does 1 fear, but remember, couple this with Flame's Fury, where he does 1 extra damage. This now does become a town killer. But for 2 energy, 1 damage, this is terrible. There's a slight thresholded power here. If you have 2 air, this can become fast. So that's your slight little kind of caveat, but it's not a lot. So, what do we think? So far, the summary here really, I'd say, is he needs to be in the land type. He does a lot of damage, very scalpel-based damage, chip damage, very specific in the land he's in. He can go to extraordinary heights of damage, but he probably doesn't want to get there. And he can recover a land, but later in the game. With this threshold of 4 fire and 1 plant, you have to at least be at 3 card plays or 2 card plays and have uncovered these 2 fires. Which means every time you're adding presence, you're adding a blight. This only heals 1. It's not easy to do. So your net gain is, there is no net gain. You're just adding and removing. But you can't ever remove more unless you get to this level, and then you have to play more cards and then get through another fire wall. It's tough. It's a tough way to play the game. So not an easy spirit to kind of pilot in any way. And we'll probably see that in the actual demo game. But very, very cool. Very interesting. Cool. Fire, cool. But very interesting spirit. Definitely an interesting spirit to play. Right, okay, let's go to the demo game. And let's see which board we start with. We start with board D. Okay, interesting. We're going to do Heart of the Wildfire. And off we go. Let's see how well we do. Remember, this is a tough spirit. I am no expert, but we're going to try and do this fast. And the key thing here is speed. He is speedy from the gate. So let's try and do that. Here we go. Okay, so first thing we notice is we actually start in the land where there is a town, okay? So we start in the highest numbered sands. This sands has got 2 blights in it because that's what we added. We have an extra blight here in this land, and we actually start in the land with the town. This is going to be a bit of a problem for us because when it builds up, we need to do something about it, okay? Now remember, when we add presence, we can add presence in the land that we can add presence into a land where we need to do damage. The difficulty here is going to be, how do we deal with this land? We've got a person, we've got an explorer, and a town. This is going to build a city in a moment. It's going to be tough to do, very tough to do. We have an option by using this. Can you hear the music, by the way? Can you see what I mean? He's like dum dee dum dee dum. He's just going around lighting things on fire and so on. He's so fun. He's fun, but he's crazy. Okay. So normally I like to play asphyxiating smoke, move into one land next to me and do some damage, yada yada yada. But if I don't deal with one of these two lands, both of them are going to have a problem. I'm going to be adding blight unnecessarily too soon. I am no expert, but I think the play to make is potentially to get rid of this land type and maybe allow this one to blight, particularly since this one is going to be a problem. How do we do that? So we want to add presence into a land. We want to also be able to do some movement off of things in a land. There are ways to do that, and I think the best way to show that is with gain power card here. So we're going to go 3 away. I only need to go 2. I'm going to gain a power. It's really important to gain cards as well, because you probably don't want to reclaim, but you want to have as much option to use fire and plant as you can, and some varied maybe options to do ranged-based damage. So let's see what we pick up. That's what I'm going to do first of all. I don't know whether this is the perfect play or not. There may be more optimal plays, but this is one I'm going to take. Okay, so we got plant, plant, and plant. Great. We also have a plant and fire and sun card. This seems pretty damn good. Target spirits gains an energy. I don't get a lot of energy. And if you have at least 2 sacred sites, you gain a second energy. This is pretty good. I'm liking this so far. This card focuses on mountains and jungles. Not very effective right now, but is a defensive card. This is the card I'm going to get. It's also 0 cost, okay? So I'm liking this card a lot so far. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play, most likely I'm going to play Threatening Flames. Threatening Flames is going to enable me to move away one of these problems. If I add presence into this land, which will now give me 4 presence in that land, I will do 1 damage because I'm opening up one of the firewalls, remember? I will do 1 damage immediately. I will then be able to move this town away. I will solve this land. So that is option 1. Option 2 is go into this land here, which is what I've enabled myself to do by choosing this growth option, and get rid of this fella and move this town out, but keep this explorer. It will then build another town, but I may be able to deal with that in the following turn. Okay? Now, this is not a perfect play, okay, by any means. I know it's not a perfect play, but it's probably what I'm going to do this turn. I have to think about what I do the following turn, and it is going to be a bit more complicated. I think probably, having done this option, I'm now thinking I might actually just get rid of this. Main reason being because I don't want to have to depend upon a power card that I didn't pick up this turn. And as a result, I don't want to risk the potential of adding 2 blight in the second turn by adding 1 here and then having to cascade. So I'm actually just going to deal with this land and hope I can deal with this one in the future. That's my hope. Okay? So I'm going to add presence, but I'm actually going to add it to this land here. We're going to go from the bottom track. I do 1 damage. I get rid of this guy, and I'm going to play. I can get to push up to 2 Dahan. I'm going to do that because I don't think I need these Dahan in this land for right now. I'm going to move 1 here, and I can move the other one into this land type here. I'm going to play Threatening Flames. I'd love to play Cost of Living Energy, but I'm going to play Threatening Flames. And I also get to do... Oh, hold on. I played that completely wrong. I forgot. Did you all remember? You probably were yelling it as you were watching. I forget because I am not very good with this spirit. I can add presence to this land, do the damage, and then because I'm playing Threatening Flames, I've used the flame here. I've used the plant element to open up this option. For every 2 fire you have, you get to do 1 damage. So Oh, no, I don't have 2 fire. Oh, no, I do. I do, because I have a fire on the track and I have a fire on my card. So I get to do 1 damage. Okay, so I get to move the town away and kill this guy. This is fantastic. So I have solved both lands. Fabulous. So I get to do 1 damage here. And I get to move this town out. And I get to move it into a land that I want to go into. So the question is, do I want to move it into this land where there's a blight already? Or do I get to move it in another land? Because I'm early in the game, I'll move it into this land. I've now also created a pocket here. So it's not going to expand into this mountain. What a great start for us. And I can't believe I didn't see that. Oh, look, and it explored into that land type. Okay, great. And it didn't explode into the mountain. Fantastic. So now we have dealt with this. We're not going to be ravaging in either of these lands. And look, we're that much closer to potentially winning the game. Is this going to be a quick win? Who knows? We now can go down this option and we can actually gain energy and more energy, which we desperately need. So we're going to add presence into this land type. Now the question is, do we just want to get rid of this town straight away? We could do that. We could get rid of this town, add card play here, and we can do some, we can basically prevent there from being even more expansion. But we do add 2 blight. I don't know if this is the right play or not, but it's an option I'm thinking of. If I opened up this thing here, I get to kill this town. I will add blight and then cascade, so I'll have 1 blight left on the card. But then I'll be able to kill this off as well. And then we're just left with this city. I almost feel like this is what I should do this turn. Normally I would never do this. It does mean that I will be doing 2 damage in this land, but the following turn I may just win. So let's do this. So we're going to do now 2 damage. We're going to do a blight added to this land. It will cascade to another land. I don't want it to cascade there because I'll be doing damage in this land and adding blight. So I'm going to add it. Let's add it to this land here. Okay, we get to move this Dahan. Let's move this Dahan into this land type because we're going to move the Dahan out from this land type as well. So let's move it into this land here. Okay, then because we've uncovered the second fire, we then get 2 more energy. Okay, very interesting. If you make sure you do that in that order in the digital edition. So now what we're going to do is going to play, we can play up to still 1 card play. So we're going to play Gift of Living Energy to give us some more energy. And we get to do damage in this land as well. Great, this is fantastic. Which still gives us the ability to do this on this turn here and maybe win the game. So this goes on us here. We gain an extra energy and then we do damage in this land. Great, so far we are winning on a rapid pace. You can see what I mean by Heart of the Wildfire being a quick win. Now, during the next normal ravage, each town does +1 damage. Nothing is building, nothing is ravaging. I have never seen this. This is amazing. Each beast destroys 1 explorer. Okay, great. That doesn't do anything. On each board, add 1 Dahan to a jungle or wetland. Okay. Well, let's move it here. Actually, you know what we might do? We might move it there just in case it explores into the jungles next. Oh, with those things. All right, let's put it there. So I'm very eager to see where they explore into. What is it going to be? Wetlands. Okay. Bit of an annoyance. Okay, so we need to kill these explorers off. Now, the question is, do we go for the explorers or do we go for this city? So we're going to be doing 2 damage. So if we go into this area here, yeah, we could potentially... Let's see what happens. So I'm going to be adding a presence to this land here. I'm going to be doing 2 damage and adding a blight. I will be going blighted this game. So we either win early or we die early. Okay, this is the option I've taken in this game. Seems a bit crazy and ludicrous, but that's what we're going to do. So we're going to add presence and we've got a lot of energy now. Let's gain some power cards. Maybe we go a major power card. We've got enough energy. Should we do that? Should we go a major power card route? I mean, I don't have any other power cards to get rid of. Let's gain another power card and let's just see normal power card. Oh, excellent. 3 elements of my choice. How fantastic. Fire and plant. How fantastic. destroy the invaders. This is great. Okay, this game wants us to win quickly. Okay, so we're going to take Poison Dew, which enables us to play 2 cards with Fire and Plant, which is great. And what we're going to do is we're going to add presence into this land, and we're going to open up this card slot here. We're going to do 2 damage. And let's see. Oh, still healthy. Excellent. Each player adds 1 blight from this card. Hold on. To an adjacent land. To land adjacent to blight. Okay. So where do we want to be? Let's be in this land type because we've got our presence in this land anyway. Okay, so we can always do damage in this land if we need to. Oh. Right, hold on. Let's undo that. Let's undo that. So let's add it here because, of course, it's added by event, and so it kills our presence off. So let's add it here. Okay. Then we're going to push the Dahan out. We're going to push 2 into here. And we're going to push 1 into there. Okay. Now, I could have left them in there and played around Dahan, give you energy and so on. Maybe I should do that, actually, because I have 2 there. Maybe I should leave 1 in here. Maybe I'll leave 1 in there. Okay, let's leave 1 in there. So click a land to add the Blight to, and then let's leave 1 in here and push 2 into there. Just in case the event card has... Okay, the Dahan will do something... I don't even check it, actually. Alright, let's see. So now we're going to finish playing. What am I talking about? Check it hasn't played yet. So now we can play this card here, which will destroy this town in the slow phase for 2 energy. And we can play this card, which will destroy a explorer. And if the land is a jungle or wetland, destroy all of them. So I quite like that as well. And then the following turn, we can place Flame's Fury if we want to. So let's do this one as well. So now we're generating enough to actually remove Blight as well, which is quite helpful. So Flames can be given here because I'm in that land. So I generated the Blight when I added my presence. And now I can do damage. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I do 2 damage, but I kill off this city. So there we go. So that's 2 fear generated. Where are we in terms of the... Okay, where are we in terms of... We're 2 cards away. This is a nasty card. Add 1 blight to a land with towns and cities. Okay, I don't have any towns and cities. Oh, that's fantastic. In each land with a disease, 1 damage to each invader and 1 damage to each Dahan. Remove any disease from a land with its destroys. Okay, so that's fine. In each spirit may add 1 Dahan to one of its lands with Dahan. Okay, great. So let's add it to this land here. Okay. No, let's add it here in case in one of its lands with Dahan. Okay, so only this one. Okay, great. Growing sense of unease. Let's see. Each player may choose a land with Dahan or adjacent to at least 5 Dahan. The invaders do not ravage. Well, I could have just saved it that way, but fine. It's not going to ravage in this land. Whoop-de-doo. Okay. So it builds in there. And then it explores back into the sands where we have presence and blight. So I can blitz that land if I want to. Now, I'm going to destroy this thing here. Okay. So I'm going to destroy this town. And I get to push one of these Dahan. And I'm going to push them into maybe this land here. I generated 1 fear. I can also do damage to a land and kill off an explorer. So the explorer I want to kill off is in this land here. Unfortunately, it's not a jungle or a wetland, but I can still kill it off. And in the fast phase, I can kill this off, and I can probably kill this off. So I'm going to do that there. Okay. Now I get to remove Blight, and I'm going to remove Blight from a land that I'm in. So I'll probably remove it from this land here for the time being. Or maybe I'll remove it from this land, actually, just in case it explores back into that land. Because we've already uncovered the sands here. Is that a good play? What if it explores into the coastal lands? Maybe it's better to remove from here. Yeah, let's remove it from there. Okay, So far, so good. So we've got limited amounts of, and how many we need to generate 5 more fear, and we could win the game in terror level 2. So we're going to do damage in this land. We can do that. We know. So we need to generate a fire and a plant, which we can do. The flash fires here maybe can do damage, and we can do this fast, but we need to generate another air card. So we're looking for air, okay? So we probably want to draw power, and we want to add a presence, and we can do that from the bottom track. If we add presence, we add this blight, but we do destroy... yes, let's do that. Let's do that. So we're going to add presence here, and we're going to win the game. What am I doing? Okay, so let's just add presence to this land. We don't need another power card, I don't think. Do we? We add here, we destroy that, and in the fast ravage phase, this will die, this will die. I mean, the event could kill us, okay? The event card could kill us off, but let's work towards that win condition. So we're going to gain another power. No, we're going to gain energy. We're going to add this to this land here. We're going to add Blight. We're going to do 2 damage. We're going to add Blight, which we can do. Then we can, when we push this beast out, let's push it into this land here. And let's push these with it. Oh, sorry. I wanted to push both of them. Oh, what am I doing? Why has this gone here? Oh, okay. We've gone all the way back. I don't like that. That's annoying. Okay, so we choose this option. We add the presence. We put it into here. We do 2 damage. We now push this beast out, and we push the Dahan with it. Excellent. Okay. Now we're going to gain more energy. So we've got a lot of energy. And in the following turn, we might do a major power and do it that way. We're going to play both of these cards. And we've now generated the top option, not the second option here. So we can only do 1 damage in the land we're in with Blight. So we're going to do that right there to destroy this land. And we can do Flame's Fury. We should have done it that way round, but it doesn't really matter. Add a town to a coastal, add a city to a coastal. There aren't any. On each board, add a disease to a coastal land with the most towns and cities. There aren't any. This is amazing. Each spirit may push one of their presence from a land with Dahan. 2 damage in the land pushed to. Oh my goodness. So this is winning even more. Okay. So I can push from this land here. And I can do damage there. And now we're going to win in the fast phase. Oh! What's going to happen? Destroy 1 presence and remove 1 town. Okay, so we'll destroy one of these presents. So let's destroy from here. And then add a land to cascade to, because we have to, so we put it there. Look how blighted the land is. Removes! Okay, so now this just does ravage, and we win the game. Look at that! Terror level victory 1. I said he usually wins in terror level 2. We won in terror level 1. But have a look at the land. Have a look at the land. And you could see how quick everything was going. We started in a land where there was a town and an explorer. Very favorable conditions for us, because we could deal with both of those areas, and then the next land type was mountains, which meant we only needed to deal with 1 land, and we'd created a pocket. Remember pockets? We created a pocket so that this mountain didn't have an issue. So we just started to win the game so quickly. We got ahead of steam and we just kept riding it. So there's a term used to describe this sometimes called tempo. The tempo that you're playing at is, I'd like to think, staccato. You are fast, 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 very, very quick. You're going very, very quickly, and you are trying to stay ahead of the invaders, and you're not letting them get any foothold at all. But terror level 1, but look at the land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blight. 9 blight on the land. I don't think I've seen 9 blight on the land and then the game not to be over. We got a little bit lucky with the blight card having a healthy option to give us 2 more blight before we turned unhealthy. So that's like a little bit of favor that we had. But can you see how fun and exciting and exotic and fast this spirit plays, but so different from others? I really have started to enjoy more and more as I've played this spirit. the playstyle, but it is a fast playstyle. It is fast out the gate, and your whole plan is get rid of those invaders quickly before anything else happens, because you've got to be somewhere else. Okay, you just want to, okay, I want to get this homework done as quick as possible, whatever, this will do, boom boom, hand it in. Okay, strengths and weaknesses. So I guess the biggest one is very fast, very quick, right out of the gate, boom, he's there, he's in your face. He does a very unique style of damage where you saw he adds damage when he adds presence. This is incredibly unique and adds to his damage playstyle. He is an offense-based spirit, and he can do and generate quite a lot of offense, and a lot more offense in areas that you think, like that first play, that first turn. I was a bit sort of, bamboozled how I was going about it, but I forgot that he does that extra bit of damage because you generate the innate power straight away in the fast phase. So we managed to deal with a town and 2 explorers in the first turn of the game in 2 separate lands. It's an extraordinary amount of damage that's very good at the beginning of the game. As the game goes on, it becomes more difficult for him to do the damage, but you just have to lean into it, and you just have to say, right, this is the way we're going. As you play this guy, you're probably going to lose games more frequently, and I certainly have multiple times that the land's been blighted. In preparation for this, I've lost loads of games. So it depends on how comfortable you are with blights. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Other strengths would be he doesn't really care about other spirits, and I think that is a strength because he is very singular-minded. He is about damaging the invaders, getting stuff done, and getting that damage done as quick as possible. He is not about trying to gain or give powers or grow slowly. No. He's just about do the damage there. His other strength is if you like to not think too hard about like fast and slow and all that sort of stuff, he's great because he basically is demanding to do most of his damage when he adds presence and in that fast phase. If you can trigger the innate power. The slow phase stuff is for the kind of, oh yes, and by the way, I can clean the land up a bit. By the way, I might be able to do some additional damage elsewhere. Okay, it is worth noting it can be done, but even one of his slow unique powers can be turned fast. His other one is slow and is an important power to consider, but we also got lucky with the drafts we picked, and if you do get good draft cards, you can continue to basically do more and more and more damage each turn without having to reclaim. So it's really cool. So he basically builds, and he's like a snowball, just go right down the mountain. But rather than collect more snow and to become an avalanche, he's almost just like, I don't know, like from a batting cage, like the balls that fire from a batting cage. Boom, ching, boom, ching. He just keeps flinging out the same ball at pace and hitting everywhere he can. He's got to be home for tea, don't you know? Now, his negatives, I think he's got a few more. He is fast. So the slower play styles, the consideration of the game, the other kind of things you can factor into, this isn't really for you, okay? We considered it in that game because we got lucky with some of the drafted cards we picked, but he tends to not really think about major powers. Not that much. You can go the top track, certainly. If you do, then you can gain a bit more energy. But in terms of the vast majority of times you're going to want to play it with the bottom track open with multiple card plays. Like you saw there, we actually opened up both that huge firewall. We went through the whole of it to be able to do damage early in the game and start putting the blight on early. We took the risk, we took a chance. But on the whole, you're going to choose one of those tracks, and I think majority of the time you'll probably go on the bottom track, which means you won't have much energy, which means not many major plays. This is a minor spirit-based focused spirit. He has absolutely no defense. We did not care about defense at all in that game. Not a jot. It was about do the damage before they do damage to you. No defense whatsoever. This is, I think, a weakness. You can consider it a strength because it takes away that thought process. But it is a weakness when actually you can't do anything and you really desperately want to defend the land. You are absolutely hoping that one of your other spirits in a multiplayer game can help you. But in a solo game, you are out of luck. Okay, then it's the events or the fear cards or your bust. That's it. His win condition is terror level 2 most of the time. We won in terror level 1, so it's either 1 or 2. If you like quick wins and quick victories, this is the guy. If you like a slower build up and be able to see the game out in the terror level 3 and 4, not really for you. He doesn't generate too much fear. He has the ability to, but he doesn't really generate too much fear, so that's something important as well. And I think a really important, weakness, strength, a bit of both, an important consideration is range 0. A lot of his stuff, he has to be in the land in order to enact the stuff he wants to do. So remember that. There's not much range here. He is a fire spirit. Fire is where it is. It doesn't leap. It moves to other places, sure, but it's where it is, okay? It's not known for its movement like water and lightning like strikes in different areas and so on. Fire is where it is, okay? So in the area it is, that's where he can enact his stuff. Very importantly, most importantly, right at the front, Blight, 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 Blight! He is a spirit where you need to think about Blight. Blight is your hit points. If you run out of hit points, you die, okay? He will be adding Blight like no other, okay? He will be adding Blight here, there, and everywhere. I can see him going,
Blight here! Fire! Blight!
That's what he is, right? He can sometimes remove it.
Oh, okay, I'll be good.
And he removes a bit of Blight here and there, but on the whole, he's like,
Blight! I don't care.
So you've got to be very conscious of the fact that when you're adding Blight, you are getting much closer to that lost condition. If that's the case, you lose the game. Be comfortable with the idea of using and adding Blight to the board. Okay, well, look, thank you for joining me, guys, and I hope you've enjoyed this particular video. I certainly had a hell of a lot of fun playing it, and I actually played it in a way that I've not really played before. I mean, of course, I've done this kind of style, but it's been really exciting when this happens, because a few things have to fall in place, but they did, and you know, board D is one of those boards. I think board F as well is a board where you actually start in the land where there's already a town. We just happen to explore into that land as well. So, you know, with the right card play and the right choice, we were able to deal with both of those land types, successfully managing that so that there's no ravage, and the build area then we managed to deal with as well. So for effectively a whole 2 turns, we didn't have anything to worry about in terms of ravage and build and so on. So that was really lucky for us. But listen, I hope you've enjoyed this spirit. I hope you've enjoyed this run through and the theme behind it. And I hope you'll join me for the next one. And all that's left for me to say, because as I said before, no clues in for the next spirits, because honestly, I don't know which ones I'm going to be doing. That won't be the case all the time. I will add these clue sections back in. But for now, just tune into the next one, because we never know what's going to happen. And I hope you've enjoyed it. Keep spiriting, guys. Keep saving this island, and in the process, save those Dahan. Good luck, and God bless.